Vinny, floor is yours.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another fantastic Power Hour with the Lady of the Hour. I've had the pleasure of knowing this young lady that I'm about to introduce to each and every one of you for a little while now. And I can tell you from the first time that I met her, it was nothing but, warmth, love, integrity. You can feel all of those emotions when you get around this young lady because she just exudes excellence and love and caring in everything she does. She is the CEO of digital operations for the OB Mastermind. She is a superstar amongst superstars in her field. I believe that nobody does it better than she does. When she gets her mind into the realm of the digital world, you can just say it's on. And that's why we refer to her as the girl on fire, Miss Afiya Al-Faiz, the one and only. The floor is yours. Take it away.
Wow, thank you, Vinny. I appreciate your warm welcome. Vinny is amazing. Obviously, I won't get into it because he's just that awesome, and I just won't stop talking about him if I start. So thank you so much, Vinny. So hi, everybody. My name is Afiya. I am the CEO of digital operations for the OB Mastermind. Today's talk is going to be about energetic wealth. At the core of everything that I do and everything that our community does is energy, and the way that we think about energy and the way that we attract people. So what I'm going to go through with everybody today is the energetic sequence, everything that we go through in order to grow, in order to project the most energy and the most love and abundance that we can. There's also myths that are involved with the whole idea of abundance that we're going to cover as well. So first things first, energetic wealth, what is it? It's everything. It's joy, it's abundance, it's everything that is beyond average, beyond mediocre, everything that gives you more to give others, everything that creates enthusiasm from within. And energetic wealth isn't just the things that make us happy, it's also the things that make us unhappy. It just depends on where our focus is and the intensity that our energy is at that moment, that we can either cultivate more wealth or retract and take that wealth away. So the sequence that we all go through, it, to some degree or another, is we go through a period of enlightenment, a period of assimilation, and then a period of projection, where whatever information that we're taking in, there's a period where we're like, wow, that is amazing. That just changed my life, maybe. And then we assimilate it to ourselves. We apply it to our being in sometimes really tiny ways. It applies to our character. It applies to our actions. In some way, it becomes part of us. And then we project those ideas and those behaviors and those thoughts and those actions onto others, just part of that natural process. I read a book recently called Success Left a Clue by a gentleman by the name of Robert Riopel. He's also a team member of ours. And the two concepts that he drives home are always immersion and service. And it's so in line with the whole idea of the energetic sequence, because that's pretty much what it's about, is immersing yourself in an idea, whether this is on purpose or not. It could just be who you're around, because like Dr. Obam says, you can't beat your environment. Your environment is stronger than your willpower. So immersing yourself in an environment of growth is super important, but regardless, it's a process that's happening already. And then service is the same as projection, because ultimately whatever goes into your head is going to drive your thoughts, your actions, everything that you do, whether you're conscious of that happening or not. So it's so important to make sure that the information that you're immersing yourself with is reflective of health, wealth, happiness, relationships, love, all the things that you prefer to have in your experience. I don't want to say want to have in your experience, because at the end of the day, you don't really get what you want. You get what you already are and what you're already grateful for. It's just a stronger manifestation of what's already here. So, which leads us to our first part, which is energy, frequency, and vibration. I'm a huge Nikola Tesla fan. If any of you are fans of Tesla, please say yes in the comments, because we all know, or raise your hand. That works too, Patana. Because his main I don't want to say lesson, but his main idea was to focus on energy, frequency, and vibration, and that understanding those concepts are the keys to life. So in terms of energy and how I interpret energy and how that gets applied to my daily life, is energy is going to be the intensity with which you do something, the speed, the force that you apply to whatever it is that you're doing. Your frequency is going to be how much repetition, how much application it is of whatever it is that you're doing. And then your vibration is your sustenance and your perseverance, and how much you can maintain and sustain whatever it is that pushed you in whatever direction you're going in the first place, or pulling you, depending on how you look at it. So in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration, and what that has to do with the energetic sequence, is that this is something that's happening all the time. As someone who has gone through bouts of depression and anxiety and all the other things in between that go along with it, your energy, your frequency, your vibration, just speaking from personal experience, it's definitely related to triggers from your outside world. So it's the same thing when it comes to exposure to what's around you. There's situational depression. There's also depression that is, just from within, genetic depression. But either way, if you switch to an environment that it gives more life, you can heal. It may take time, but you can heal. And that has to do with the whole idea of the energetic sequence, because in a lot of ways, I think that we are led to believe that we have to be on medications, or we have to isolate ourselves in order to heal from energetic maladies. But really, it just has to do with what we're already exposing ourselves to in a lot of ways, especially if you're high vibe to begin with. So some of the secret ingredients to personal triumph, and the ingredients that are necessary for what I think embodies energetic wealth, is mindfulness, gratitude, and your friendships, relationships, anything that contributes to your ability to be growth minded. So when it comes to mindfulness, it has to do with remaining focused and centered and still, regardless if there's flies in front of you trying to distract you from whatever it is going on, regardless if there are little things in your presence that's trying to keep you off track, but you're a ninja, so you cut through it. So mindfulness is very much as active as it is still. It has to do with sustaining the mindset, or the loop of whatever vibe it is that you want to sustain, as long as it's driving you forward towards whatever it is that you want to receive. Gratitude is, of course, important, because with gratitude, like I said, it's not always, you don't always attract what it is that you want. You attract what you already are. And if you're grateful for the things that you already have, you might discover that you don't even want some of the things that allured you in the first place. Because when we stop and think about all the things that we already have, oftentimes you realize that it's already enough, and there are only slight enhancements that are needed, and they come naturally. So that's another thing. And then most important, what I've found is one of the most important things to personal triumph are your friendships, your relationships, and the things that help you grow, your books, your mentors, all of these things, because human beings, we advance through facilitation. At the core of it all, we're still cavemen. We just have the technology of technology. We just have the technology of advanced thought. We have new ways of living that don't require that we hide. We have ways of separating us from separating ourselves and our families from things that might want to harm us because they're looking for food. Or we're even at the point now where we can decide that bugs are a nuisance to us in our homes, but we can decide to come out into nature to be one with all living beings. Like, we're at that point where we really have a lot of control, each and every one of us, over our daily experience. And it's all because one person learned something and taught it to another, or one person did something different, somebody else absorbed it and immersed themselves in the idea, applied it to their life, saw that it was good, and taught somebody else. It's like the 100th monkey theory, where after a while of monkeys learning how to create a tool, or use a rock to bust open a coconut or something, other monkeys are going to observe that monkey doing it, and all of a sudden all of them know how to do it. So it's the same thing with human advancement. The standards that we have now for living are there because somebody did it first, and we all decided it was good and decided to follow, and now here we are where it's awesome. So so some of the taboos about abundance, even with that being said, with all the things that we've learned and we've shared and that we've grown with, some of the taboos about abundance is that abundance only has to do with money. Money is a mental construct, as everybody on this call is going to know. It's something where we determine what the value of something is based on some other system that we already had on place, and we use money as a system of exchange for something that we see more valuable at the moment than the thing that we're exchanging the money for. So, and the amount of the money that we're sharing it for. But abundance is not just about the money. It's at the core of what I just said. It's what it gets for you, and it's what gets to be enhanced in your life. If you're abundant, everything is just a little bit brighter. Everything is just more. There's more options. Everything is more exciting. Just the intensity that I was talking about in the beginning, that's the core of abundance, not necessarily the cash or the means for getting it. Again, you manifest what you are and what you have, and not what you want. So ultimately, when we want things, a lot of times it just comes from a lack mentality in what we already have. We're so blessed in our daily lives. If we were to sit there and really think about it, we are extremely blessed. If you're on this call right now, that means you have internet service, you have a cell phone, you have a roof over your head. You have so much more than the vast majority of the people in the world. And if we were to take a moment to really think about what that means, we would think about things a lot differently, I think, when it comes to the things that we want to manifest in our lives. Also, extravagance is the shadow of lack. A lot of times people will want extravagant things, but it's to overcompensate for the things that they don't have. It's the same thing as, and not that people shouldn't have these things, but wanting a garage full of 10 sports cars, but not concentrating on having the people around you that you love, that you would love to see enjoy those things with you. It has more to do with trying to make up for all the things that aren't there to excite you through material things that give the projection of excitement. So extravagance isn't what it's all chalked up to be. It's something where our wealth has to be determined by the things that we already value. So let's see. I did that in 15 minutes.
Give us more.
So part of energetic wealth, as I said, is intensity and speed. So this is something I could talk about forever. Fasana will also tell you, we will sometimes be on the phone for hours just talking about vibes and energy and goddessness and soul connections. And that's what I mean. It's intense stuff. It's not the watered down conversations. It's not the small talk. It's not any of that. Energetic wealth is definitely the degree to which you feel all the things that you feel. It's wanting more out of life, but being able to immediately apply the idea of wanting more out of life so that you automatically get more out of life. Therefore, you're attracting those things to you. It's a sequence of action and a sequence of energy that just happens. I think just a lot of people aren't aware that they have this power, but we all do. So I'm just gonna check out some questions.
So Afiya, before you check out those questions, thank you for sharing so far. A round of applause, by the way, because
thank you.
We're talking about energetic wealth and the end result. We always start with the end in mind, and
Sure.
You're getting there. So before we jump into some of these questions, what I would love for you to do because I see Carrie had some great, Annie had a question, Fasana, and then Carrie. So we'll get to those. But here's what I'd love you to do. Sometimes when we share the information or the content, we don't get, and I see Phoenix is raising his hand. So what I'd like you to do before we open up for questions some more is, so we've been working together now for a little while between yourself, myself, and Fasana. Why don't you share at least maybe 1 or 2 or 3 examples of some of those same things, and maybe an example in each of the 3 areas you talked about that we have done, whether it's been with the OB Mastermind, whether it's been now recently with Sarah, but what you've seen from the moment we went to thought, idea, action, and results, how fast that happened and what that takes, and then we'll open up a question for everyone else, because sometimes when we're sharing new concepts like these, people are always like, yeah, that sounds great, but how does it really work? I don't really know, right? So why don't we give them some actual, then legitimate ways of how we've used it recently with the OB Mastermind or in Sarah?
Oh, absolutely. So the OB Mastermind and Athera are fantastic examples. So in terms of energetic wealth, the energetic sequence, how all that works. So in terms of the sequence, the idea for the OB Mastermind, that came up when Obama and Fasana met. I believe you guys were in Hawaii. So by the time I came into the picture, they had already been enlightened by each other's ideas of how we can bring more consciousness to the business world and to other transformational coaches. It assimilated into an international tour almost immediately, and we were able to project the ideas that we had about everything that's covered in Today's the Day, for example, out onto the people that attended, and it the testimonials that we received were incredible. And that's how it all works, because then we have the feedback that we served what we said we were going to serve. With Asira, it's the same thing. We identified that there was a need for personal development, or John Saturas identified that there was a need for personal development in the digital world in countries that didn't have it as freely available as we do in North America, for example. He began team building, assimilated powerful speakers and leaders like Obama and Fasana and tons of other people that I can't even begin to list. And then we are now in the process of projecting onto the world what's really good, keeping your mind right and why it's so important. In terms of energy, frequency, and vibration, the OB Mastermind, stunning example of that, because Fasana is extremely bright, extremely focused. For example, I of course observe people, as we all do, just being the type of people that we are. We observe people and we get a feel for their patterns, for their strengths, for their opportunities, and for everything. So Obam, from knowing him for a couple of years, Obam, anything you give Obam to do, he attacks it with intensity and with speed. Like before you know it, he's halfway through whatever it was that he was asked to do. And Fasana, I've seen her response time match his over time. So Fasana has also become someone who attacks things with intensity and speed. And then the repetition that goes along with that. Once you learn how to do something once and you complete it and be able to do it again and again and again, the energy just accumulates. And now it's just a matter of sustaining that and persevering and continuing to move forward with that same energy, keeping the same energy. And
awesome.
then,
So keeping with the same theme and focus, I think now is the perfect time to start interjecting some of these questions that others ask, because as you said, you came in the picture with the OB Mastermind basically when Fasana and I was in a rhythm, right? We've known each other. I've known your talents for years and what you were capable of. So you had to catch up, and in the beginning it was like a little overwhelming for you, right? And we had that conversation. You're like, okay, I know what to do now. I'm gonna get it. So Annie's question was, how did you harness your own energy, right? So how do you harness your energy to basically keep up with these two wackos in a sense?
how did I harness my energy? Definitely by focusing and pretty much cutting out anything that didn't have to do with what we were focused on. There, like when we were in the swing of things with the OB Mastermind tour, um, it was pretty tough to distract me. Like there's always something that wants to come into the picture to pull you off your square. But at the end of the day, when we were all focused and we were starting to get affiliates and the dates in the funnel needed to be updated and completed, and we needed to make sure that the images were congruent and all of that, we were there was no space for anything to even enter my mind to take the place of what I wanted to make sure was successful. So it's just a matter of cutting out the distractions. I mean, we all know what they are. We know what they are when they pop up. It's just a matter of being honest with ourselves and calling it for what it is.
Awesome. And well, that's a great answer, by the way. So if you're paying attention, and good question to Annie. So for you, how do you identify like those distractions? Well, how do you identify those distractions? And when they come up, and because the distractions are that they pretty much distract us, but how do you identify them, and how do you eliminate them?
So the way I identify them is by paying attention to how I feel and paying attention to my vibe. Because if I've been on a call, for example, with someone, and I get off of the call and I feel amazing, I'm ready to attack my goals, and then I speak to someone and 15 minutes later, I'm not really sure what I was doing, or I forget something. Like there's an event that happened there that took me from an 8 on the energetic scale down to a 3. So it's just a matter of being emotionally aware, because it's not to say that you're going to be happy and cheery and smiling all the time, but there is a distinct difference that if you really just pay attention, you notice it, and just take a few steps back and think about like maybe the last couple of actions that you took, the last couple of people that you spoke with, and call it what it is. And how you would recover from that is definitely with positive music, positive quotes, getting on the phone with someone who's on your level or beyond your level, reading a book, anything that will raise your vibration, depending on your respect level and the level of joy that it brings you. So if you have a history with something that brings you a lot of happiness, bring that back into your life so you can increase your vibe. Like all that stuff affects your memory, it affects your actions, it affects how quickly you move, everything.
Awesome. So I think that's thank you. That's a great answer. And it's crazy how the questions are coming in, because this one just relates to that in a different way, just kind of rolling. You're going up the stairs here. This question comes in, this one is from Fasana. How do you always show up in such a beautiful and positive way?
Thank you, Fasana. I don't know. That's God. I can't give that credit to anybody but God and my parents for being characters. I don't know. But I really, when I was in high school, I used to be bullied, and I used to be like, I got tired of it. Like I was like, why doesn't anybody like me? Like, what is going on here? And it's not that people didn't like me, that was just how I felt about myself. I accidentally made somebody laugh, and I liked the sensation of making someone laugh, so I continued to make humor and joy like a part of my character, a part of something that I gave to people, because it is a relief for people when you show up as a joy. You never know what someone is feeling. You never know who might want a positive distraction from whatever it is that they're experiencing. And that's the part where energetic wealth is of service to people, because if we are aware that of how our wealth is affected, and that there has to be immersion and enlightenment, then as someone who is a light worker, as someone who's here to inspire people, it's almost a duty and a responsibility to be someone who's pleasant to be around. At the end of the day, like, people work with people they know, like, and they trust. People want to know that no matter what happens, that they can easily speak to someone. So I feel like showing up this way is just who I am, what God gave me to be, regardless of anything else that I do.
Yeah, I like that answer. You know, I think the reason you show up the way you do is because you're a Lego. Because everything is awesome, right?
Yeah.
Everyone is part of the team. So
When you live
so we have
that
a question
dream.
from Carrie. I can't just say Carrie, Miss Carrie Weber Young. She said, and how did you get there? How did you get here, right? So how did you do it?
Your talk was amazing last week, by the way. How did I get where to this?
Yeah, all of that goodness. How did you get there?
Work, studying, reading books, and applying all of the mindset techniques in any tiny way I could. Watching an absurd amount of YouTube videos on personal development, just speaking to people who I knew were smarter than me, and just picking up on their wisdom and how they felt about life, just applying and being humble and recognizing that I don't know everything, but I know that this is going to make me a better person if I apply this. So it just has to do with having an abundance of respect for everyone that I meet, because everyone is your teacher to some degree. So just learning what I can from every single person that I meet. Everyone has good qualities, and I choose to see the best in people always. Sometimes not always to my benefit, but at the end of the day, the benefit that it gives me in spirit is way greater than what anyone could ever attempt to take away from me. So I choose to focus on that type of growth.
I love it. You said something very powerful that actually shifts that people don't get. And it's just one word in that entire thing. And that's you choose. It's all a choice, right?
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of that goes with this next question too. So it's kind of cool how it's all coming together. This one is from Ahmed. Ahmed says, how do you shift energy when you're in a down negative energy?
Ooh, okay. Thank you for asking that, Ahmed, because as I briefly mentioned, depression, holy cow. How do you shift the energy? You give it time, and you sustain your intention on what the ultimate end result is going to be. We've all been through stuff. I'm not going to make my problems any more important than anybody else's, but I have been through some bull. Okay, some things that really made me question the smile on my face. But when you're in it, it's just important to remember that whatever is making you smile, God is putting that smile on your face for a reason. It's not because necessarily what's going on in this moment, is because of what's to come. So I think just making sure that we make sure that our purpose, remember that our purpose is to be happy, joyful, and of joyful service to others. Another thing that I do is meditate a lot. Meditation kept me off the ledge so many times, because if you stop the frequency and the patterning and the whirlwind of the negative thoughts, eventually your mind will get to a place where it's silent. And then from there, you can choose to move forward at whatever pace is appropriate for you and whatever you're comfortable with. So I would say bring it down a notch to where we're not upset anymore, but we can not be clouded by our emotions, and then choose what emotions you would prefer to have. Another technique that I learned from Joe Vitale is to call out the negativity for what it is, the depression, the being tired of whatever it is that you're going through. Get to your wit's end and call out what it is that's bothering you, and then choose the opposite of that, and just take a couple seconds to think about what that is and what that means for you to live the opposite. I mean, literally break out a thesaurus, choose the opposite definition of that negative situation or word or circumstance, and go in that direction. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I hope it does too, because you said something in there that just tickled my inner nerd really good. You said break out the thesaurus. And when I was younger, that's all I did. I used to read thesauruses and dictionaries. I still do, but
I know, right?
I'm super nerd.
Oh my gosh, are we nerding? Are we nerding?
Right, we're nerding right now, right? So
Okay.
Anna says, I don't need Google. I just need Obama. So
Exactly.
she's over here saying, I even got a shirt that says it. So,
Totally.
right, these questions are aligning like so awesome. So that was a great question by Ahmed. Here's one. It's not from Phoenix. It's from Phoenix's iPhone, which is probably attached to Phoenix. So Phoenix's question is, hey, Afiya, how do you determine whether the chakra prosperity block is, and what modalities do you use to unlock?
Ooh. Hi, Phoenix.
Yeah, he
I
went
don't
deep
know.
on you right there.
For real, for real. Like, I don't know a whole lot about chakras. All I know about chakras is that they can be cleared. In terms of like what you can do to clear that, I mean, meditate, because if you feel like any kind of energy block, just in general, like whether you recognize what your chakras are or you recognize that you're under stress or whatever, if we don't like float, it's like water. It's like being in the ocean, and you know, when you're underwater, as you go deeper underwater, pressure accumulates and it becomes uncomfortable to stay underwater. Your body is going to naturally want to float to the surface, but you know, depression is like, or being upset or whatever is like, you're so condensed that you just continue to sink. So meditation, what that does is it makes you more buoyant in your mind. It just allows you to just slowly open up to in a way that you maybe not even realize that that's happening. And then you get to the point where you can float, you what people call having your head above water. Once you have yourself there, then you can ascend, then you can fly, then you can float, then you can swim, then you can do whatever. So I would give the same answer that I gave, I believe, Ahmed, and it's to bring yourself to a place where you're neutral and you can make an informed decision about how you want to feel and what you want to do, and then go from there.
Yeah, so before someone can fly, they have to believe it, right? There was, I believe
Welcome.
I can fly. So you got to believe it first, and then you start flying. So Phoenix also asked another question, and he said, basically, how can someone who's in burnout recalibrate and raise their vibrational frequency right away and shift?
Phoenix asked this.
Yes.
Okay, Phoenix, I literally just went through this. Surround yourself with people who want you to grow. Surround yourself with growth-minded people. I cannot emphasize enough how important that is. If I were not surrounded by the people that I was surrounded by, I have no idea how long it would take me to recover from what I was going through. I can't stress it enough. It's to keep in communication with people who genuinely want the best for you and don't feel like your goals aren't appropriate for you based on wherever their limitations and their projections are. It's like I was saying when it comes to the energetic sequence, this is something that happens naturally, whether people are trying to do it or not. So if someone has an idea for themselves that aren't where you have the idea for yourself, they're going to project their limitations onto you, and that projection is going to continue in conversation. You know, so if you feel like you're at rock bottom, or if you feel like you don't know what to do, the best thing you could do is have people around you that genuinely love you and are going to pour that onto you, because it's just going to take time. There's a certain period, there's a certain extent where, you know, I felt like I couldn't do anything, man. Like I couldn't, I felt, I don't have the words for them anymore because I've surrounded myself with people who don't think that way. So I was able to come up, but it felt really, really bad. It felt bad. I'm sure you understand what I mean. But if you want to get out there and get out there as quickly as possible, keep in communication with people who are going to lift your spirits and keep you abundant in your thoughts and in your vibe. People who can make you laugh. And then second to that is movies. And that applies.
How about some of the people who do this?
See?
All right, so along that same lines, like right now, like you have a circle of people you surround yourself with, because we believe in the philosophy of abundance, one, but two, that the environment is stronger than the individual willpower.
Sure.
with your group, like who's your top 5 people? Like you have like insulate yourself, your top 5 that goes out in there. Who's your top 5 people? I hope I'm in there. Hope I'm in there. If I'm not, lie to me. Lie to me.
Well, number 1 is Dr. Obam Bowen. I literally, look, I don't care how crazy this sounds. Obama was my brother in another life. I'm convinced because he loves me and I love him. And I feel like somebody who does this to me understands me. It has to be my brother. But definitely Obam. Fasana, I speak to Fasana pretty much every day. Stephanie, Adam, oh gosh, Annie. I have a lot. Like it's tough for me to even break it down to 5 because pretty much everyone in our mastermind is super, super important to me energetically. And I'm aware of that too. So if I had to call somebody out, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm gonna call you out for a second right now because
Okay.
I know this person is one of your favorite. You didn't even talk about him. He's my favorite person in the world. He introduced you, and you
I
didn't
did say
even say
Vinny.
no. You didn't say no, Vinny Cochran. See, you thought you did. I know you did. You didn't say it. But here's what we're gonna do. How about we just share like why Vinny is one of your top 5?
Thank you. I was gonna ask if I could have a do-over, but that works too.
No, because here's what happens. I do notice like sometimes the people we care about the most, it's like we skip over them with other things because we have such an emotion for them and they're in our automatic function of thinking. And even though you didn't see it, like I thought I said Vinny. Right? I knew Vinny was one of them, but I think because I said I better be one, you said me first, and he was probably first. So
Can I do it over?
No. But you could talk about why Vinny's in your top 5.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so Vinny Cochran, when I first met Vinny, it was in New Jersey, and Vinny just has this like presence about him. Like, you know, you're about to talk to somebody who knows what they're talking about. Number 1. So expertise and be able to convey expertise is a huge reason why I love Vinny Cochran. Also, he's a phenomenal leader. He's a clear speaker. He also has integrity. He's ex-military. So many. I mean, shall I keep going?
I mean, you can go. I mean, it's my favorite person in the world. So there's
okay.
No, but
okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was gonna. So this was a question that came in. Like Carrie's in the chat. Not one for you, but she made it like, Obama, you're like such a good cheerleader. Or you're like a cheerleader. I'll send you some pom poms. No, but here's the thing, Carrie. Here's the thing. I'm a dad of 3 girls, and 2 of them are now 18 and 20. When they were younger, I was the cheerleading dad that took them to practice, did all the cheers. I was dancing, breaking it down, dropping it like it was hot. They played soccer and they played football, and I was the head of the cheerleading team. And then when they were actually cheerleaders, I was the one leading the cheerleading team. So, Aaron, you know, so I can drop it like it's
Rah, rah, rah.
It's not Obama's show. It's Afiya's show. I know I can do that because Afiya's just as crazy as I am. So,
oh boy.
Afiya, tell us a little bit about, you know, since we're on the topic of cheerleading, tell us a little bit about how you are really as a cheerleader, because you surround yourself with a lot of us. And one of the things you do a lot is energetically cheerlead and lift everyone's soul up. Right? So there's that part. And then the second part is you're always a person who's like inside yourself until you get behind a computer and this whole green monster shows over there. Right? So tell us about what brings out the green monster.
Oh boy. Okay, so the first question, how do I support everybody? I mean, a lot of it is knowing that my little girl is watching me, and I want her to have that character trait of being supportive of other people, of, you know, someone who people can turn to for support. That's just a really wonderful, pleasant, powerful place to be. My little girl drives me to be that person, but at the end of the day, everybody wants to feel good. Everyone wants to know that their efforts are recognized. Everyone wants to know that the people around them support what it is that they're doing. So that's what drives me, is really just genuinely wanting everyone to to feel as supported as they are. It's not necessarily that we need this. To some degree we do, but it feels good to people to recognize them, you know? So I do it just because. In terms of what gets me out of that place, where if I'm in front of a computer, it's different than when I'm not in front of a computer. That's a really good question. I don't know. It's even, just to be transparent, even with doing this talk, like there aren't too many people who can convince me to do stuff like this besides Obama and Fasana. But like if I'm, it's what you call unconscious competence, so to speak. It's like if I'm being told this has to be done, you're the person who's going to do it. That's it. There's no arguing with my consciousness at that point. It's autopilot. It's not something that I think about. It just gets done.
Awesome. Thank you for that. So let's get serious for a bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are your three most important, like, driving factors? Like, what are the three
Mm-hmm.
things that drive you? So we know your daughter is one. So like,
Mm-hmm.
you've shared and said that already, but like outside of, I mean, she would be the reason, but what's your three core thing that just drives you? Like, everybody who knows you, you're like so quiet, put you in front of a computer, building funnels, doing sales scripts, doing copyright, whatever. You're just an all-out beast, right? Like, what drives you? What are those things? What are those three things that just drives the Afiya factor?
Honestly, just values that I've picked up along the years that became meaningful to me, and just having, I guess, that thing in my head that keeps applying and keeps not wanting more, but keeps growing. I don't know, it's like God wants me to be this way. I don't know what to say. I genuinely don't know what to say. My daughter really does drive me. Being nice to people and knowing that I'm being nice to people, and it drives me. Being of service to other people and knowing that I'm doing enough to be of genuine service to people, that drives me. Stuff like that.
Gotcha. So I'm watching it here come out, because what you're doing is you're going inside that little girl, right? So I think one of your greatest driving factors is, for some people, work gets them excited, but for you, work gets you childish. And when we do anything like a child, it's like we can go all day. And just watching, asking that question, you just go right into that little girl and you're like, oh no, it's what I do. Right? So what gets you in that childish state? Like, what turns your buttons on that makes you just like, okay, I'm in my zone, I'm gonna come back up when I'm done? What drives that childish button for you?
Oh, definitely doing the things that I enjoy. I love to write. I love to create. I love to draw. I love to just take whatever is in my head and make it. Like if I learn a new skill, for example, I love to apply it to whatever it is that I'm doing. Anything where I get to take something that I've read about or take something that I've learned about and apply it somewhere, that really makes me excited. I love to build stuff. I love making guides. Like whenever I know that I'm about to sit down and create something that's going to be helpful for someone, like it really gets me excited. So I really don't have much more to add to that.
Okay, so look, it's funny because I'm watching this, the whole thing, the first basically 15 minutes, you taught an entire class. And what you're doing is, what some people don't understand is the power behind what's going on. Like the childishness you have is saying, well, it's really like this, and it's 1, 2, 3, this is how you do it. And your answers are all the same. Like, it's 1, 2, 3, is how you do it. I don't really know. What else do you want? It's this way, and it's this way, and that's it. So when you think of your 3 core principles you shared today about energetic wealth,
Sure.
Like, how do you use that energy to keep your childlikeness throughout the entire process?
Oh, absolutely. I never stop learning, ever. I keep going. So that process of enlightenment is like pretty much constant for me at this point. I have to wake up and read something. I read, right now I'm reading like 2 or 3 books. One of them is the same book over and over. Your book, Dr. Obama. Today is the day, but I have to read. Like, there's something that reading does to my brain that makes me want to keep doing it. So definitely maintaining a state of enlightenment, applying it to either my character, or if I'm having a conversation with someone and they bring up something where they would benefit from the knowledge that I gave, just applying it however it can be of service, however the information can be of service to people, doing what I can with it. If I read something on copywriting and I happen to have a project in front of me, applying whatever the lesson says to do in terms of psychological triggers, whatever. And then projection is just, getting to, like, taking a moment to be like, hey, that was pretty good. Like absorbing the satisfaction of being someone who did that for someone, because it always feels good when I know that I've said something that brought someone relief, or said something that uplifted someone. So then I get to be that person that did something great for someone. So so that's how I personally use the energetic sequence, like multiple times, just continuously throughout my life.
So thank you so much for that. And I just heard something just popped in my head too, and I'm just going to show random of how, as we're talking about wealth, it's not really about the steps, it's all about the energy, and the energy is flow, which in current, in the dynamics of energy, when I get nerdy for a second, energy flow, which is why we call things cash flow. Cash flows with energy. That's why we call it a currency, because it flows, it's current, right? So I want to show people just a quick demonstration. Obviously, this was not rehearsed, but I'm just going to show what it looks like when you take a childlike spirit to anything and move through. So I'm going to ask you a question. I just want you to kind of respond and go with me, right?
Okay.
All right. Oh, it's almost like a lean with it, rock with it, lean with it. So here we go. Now, can you whip? Can you nay-nay? Right, so can you finish it? Can you whip? Now watch you whip. You got to do now. Watch you whip and watch you nay-nay. Now watch you, do you know how to do the nay-nay, young lady?
No, but Imani does.
That's why you're looking at me crazy. So since you don't know how to do the nay-nay, do whatever crazy dance you know how to do. 3, 2, 1, go.
I'll vogue for you.
Vogue.
I only wish I had glow sticks, because then I could rave as well. I know, right?
This girl is on fire, 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 fire. Ball. Okay. All right, so
there's a scene in Dora the Explorer like that. Not to be too off subject, but it's really funny. The dad started beatboxing. But anyway.
So as we come back here to a close today, Afiya, let's talk about, from your entire talk and everything we have here today, what's like the 3 most important things you want everybody who kind of looked at this today, what would you like to see them kind of walk away with? What points do you want to drive home?
100%. You are who and what you surround yourself with. There's no other way to slice it. There's no other way to see it. You are just with the nature of us being earthlings, being sustained by the sun providing us with energy, the sun providing us with food, that in turn sustains us to some way, and then it's assimilated back into the earth, and it's a whole cycle of feeding. We are, in that sense, universally, energetically, who and what we surround ourselves with. That's the main point that I would just really want people to get, because sometimes I think it's not considered enough. We love someone, for example, so we let their toxic behavior or their toxic patterns slide because we have a warped sense of what it is to love someone, or we let our own habits go because we have a warped, like I think if we're all honest with ourselves, we know exactly what it looks like and feels like to be in a cycle of health, and that begins and ends with what we surround ourselves with.
Awesome. Thank you for that. So it's been staring us in the face the whole time with you here. This is something I know you love to do all the time. You hadn't mentioned it, but I want to just bring it out. Just want to bring this elephant right here. You're out in nature right now. It's something you do like all day, every day. Well, not all day, but every day. Most of the time during the day. Since we're talking about energy and wealth and the transference and abundance and all of that, why is it important for you to get in nature every single day?
Oh my gosh. Nature is, oh my goodness.
I know, we just tapped into a whole new monster.
Like, okay, so nature is the representation of the whole concept of environment. Also, trees are literally the yin to our yang. Oh my gosh, what a question. That's really good. So it's important to be in nature because of how trees cleanse you, because of how they absorb light. And through that process, you also get the nourishment to a higher degree when you are around trees. It's important to be around nature because the air quality is much better than if you weren't around other trees, because of course their whole thing is purifying the air, purifying the water, everything. Nature is important because it just is. Water is important. Water, one of the things, I'm here in Florida, and you guys who have been on these before, like, you notice that typically I'm in front of trees or bushes. A lot of it does have to do with the vibe that a tree gives off. Trees literally absorb negative energy. Like, you can believe that or not, but you know, like, trees absorb energy in a lot of different ways we don't even understand yet. So being in nature is a really, that's a really quick, for the person that asked about how to quickly get to like their center, get in nature. That's a really good way to center yourself. Just something, it slows down the frequency that's going on in your mind. It not slows it down, it stabilizes, because frequencies are like, they multiple all at the same time. If you want to get to where you have some mind silence and you're able to think or decide, move from a place of choice, I would say to get around nature as well. That's a way to do that. It's like not a shortcut, but it is a way.
Awesome. So thank you for that. And I want to share with folks through just a little insight from me, because everybody who knows me knows what my favorite topic is. And the only thing that grounds me outside of my favorite topic is nature. Right? It has the ability to produce the same ROI you would get from my favorite topic, for those you don't know, sex, right? It gives the same thing back. So you can get out in nature and it fills everything, because the most abundant thing you can do or receive or be or experience in sex is to get it from nature, AKA Mother Nature. Everybody always wants to go home. So I'm excited. And what's your biggest point you want to leave with today? What one thing you want to leave with today?
Everybody love everybody. Seriously, it sounds a little childish, cliche, whatever you want to call it. But honestly, like, I think if we just all sat down and loved each other and just accepted each other where we are and where we're at, and continued to fixate on a growth mindset and move in from a space of love, like the world would be an incredible place. I think that's how we've even gotten to this level of advancement, is because of love. Even if you think about a country like the United States, slavery ended because somebody really loved somebody else. Love is a driver that we really should give more importance to, and just do what you do and do it with love and energetic wealth.
That's I heard it. What is love? Don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. I don't know. But all we do know is everybody needs some love. All you need is love. Love from above and together. Feel like we're in church. Ha, bring it on. So, Afiya, the girl on fire, I just want to thank you. From the bottom of my heart to you.
Yay! Thank you.
We wanna bring you and say that we love you.
Ow.
Today and tomorrow, forever and ever, we love you. That's
Oh, I get to.
coming out, ladies and gentlemen. Drop it right now, $4.99. If you buy right now, you will avoid spending $19.99 for the whole. That's a single right there. Coming out with the girl on fire. So the greatest thing about working together is always having fun. I thank you today for sharing your core principles and beliefs with everyone else as we go to close out here today. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Bringing your heart, your mission, your message today, loving on everybody. And I just want to say, you know, from the bottom of my heart, sincerely, thank you for sharing, because the holistic approach towards, well, that's why, thank you guys. Give her some love, give her some love. The holistic approach to wealth has a lot to do with all the areas and components that go in there. And for myself, I've mastered wealth, not because I know it all, but because I surround myself with great people like yourself. And you said one of the most important things, which was environment, which is always stronger than will. And today, I think in Mother Nature, why you're glowing so much is you're receiving the same nutrients you're talking about from those plants. All that oxygen, they're taking in the bad and producing the good. So you're glowing more because there's all this craziness that's going on in the world. So it's so important. And before we leave, there's two things I want to share. Number one, it's 2 minutes away from finishing the power hour, and we had my girl bigger than Alicia Keys, you know what I'm saying? Because she's on fire always, and this girl was on fire today in her own boom volcanic way. So thank you for that. Tomorrow at 1 p.m., just like today, we're gonna have none other than the Moss Boss Sexy Floss Joss himself, Mr. Adam J. Moss. And, yeah, so I am not gonna share the topic with you right now. I'll share it tomorrow, but you gotta tune in to get it. But this dude, I know he's launched a new program where he's helping you. The biggest thing people are always worried about when you're in business, taxes, how you can keep more of your money and not give it away to uncles and auntie Sams, right? You just keep it for yourself. That's what the wealthy do. He's gonna be teaching some secrets with that. But today, just today, a little bit. Woo! My favorite person in the world, Mr. Benny Cochran. Hey, favorite human being. If you want some more hotness and sexiness at 5 o'clock, so today you got a 1 and a 5 p.m., we got Mr. Vinny Cochran is going to be talking about developing the leader in you, man, at 5. So you can go to his page. Just go to Vinny Cochran on Facebook, and you see this big old sexy picture of him up there, and you can find the live Zoom, or you can comment below Zoom ID, and we'll text you the Zoom ID to get on there. He will be on a global stage speaking to about 15 to 20 countries today, y'all. And you heard it here first in the Hour of Power. So with that, Miss Afiya El Faiz, the girl on fire, keep burning. We love you. Adam, we'll see you tomorrow at 1 p.m. And let's go out in a burning blaze of glory. See you at 5 p.m. with Vinny Cochran.
Bye, yeah, I want to hear you make that note, Obama. I missed it. I think she's on the edge of glory. Thank you so much, Afiya. That was amazing.
Thank you.
You guys have a good one. Love you. See you all tomorrow. Bye for now.
Bye.